In the journey of life, doubt often stands as the heaviest chain that binds the human spirit. Many people dream, many people imagine, but only a few dare to believe in the true power that lies within them. Carl Jung once reminded us that the world we see outside is nothing more than a reflection of our inner reality. When we doubt ourselves, we are not simply questioning our abilities, we are questioning the very foundation of our existence. This speech is not just words, it is a doorway to awakening. It invites you to recognize that every desire you carry, every vision that stirs your soul, is not accidental. It is the whisper of destiny calling you. If you listen closely, you will realize that the greatest prison is not built by others, but by our own disbelief. Today, you are called to break those walls, to step into the light of certainty, and to embrace the power of living as though your wish is already fulfilled. Let's begin with this profound truth. The world you see before you is nothing more than the outward picture of your inner assumptions. Every doubt you harbor, every limitation you accept is but a shadow cast by your own consciousness. Tonight I want to share with you the most transformative principle that has ever been revealed to man. The principle that your consciousness is the one and only reality. When you truly grasp this, you will understand why doubting yourself is the greatest sin against your divine nature. Let me tell you something extraordinary about your desires. The very fact that you can conceive a desire means you possess the capacity to achieve it. For desire is nothing but your destiny seeking expression through you. It's God's promise awaiting your acceptance. You see, most of you sit here tonight harboring doubts about your abilities, your worth, your potential. But I tell you this, these doubts are merely images you have accepted as facts. They are no more real than the shadows on a wall. The only power they possess is the power you have given them through your acceptance. Consider for a moment what you really want in life. Feel it deeply. Now understand this, that desire did not originate from you as a mere mortal being. That desire is God Himself knocking at the door of your consciousness, seeking expression through. But here is where most of you failed. You treat your desires as something external to be achieved, rather than an already existing reality to be assumed. You say, I want to be successful, but continue to wear the garment of doubt and limitation. Let me share with you a profound secret about manifestation. The secret lies not in the doing, but in the assumption. What you desire is already yours, in what I call the fourth dimensional world, the world of consciousness. Your task is not to make it happen, but to assume the feeling of its accomplishment. You see, when you doubt yourself, you are actually denying your own divine nature. You are saying to the God within, I do not believe in your power expressing through me. Can you see the magnitude of this error? Every time you entertain a doubt, you are choosing to live in a state of consciousness that contradicts your desires. It's like planting seeds while simultaneously believing they won't grow. Your doubt negates your prayer. Let me tell you about the law that governs all manifestation. Consciousness is the only reality. Whatever you consciousness to be true, whatever state you occupy in consciousness must objectify itself in your world. This is not theory, this is law. Most of you have been taught to combat doubt with positive thinking. But I tell you this, positive thinking is not enough. You must move beyond thinking to knowing. You must assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You see, the universe responds not to your words or your actions, but to your assumptions. When you truly assume a state, you need not concern yourself with the how. The how will be taken care of by powers and wisdom far greater than your mortal mind can conceive. Let me share with you the true meaning of faith. Faith is not believing that something will happen. Faith is assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled before any evidence appears in the external world. That is the faith that moves mountains. Consider for a moment when you go to sleep at night. Do you doubt that the sun will rise tomorrow? No, you rest in complete assurance of this fact. This is how you must treat your desires. Your doubts are merely habits of consciousness that can be replaced with absolute knowing. I tell you this, the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. When you assume the feeling of being what you want to be, you're actually entering into the state of consciousness this. At will externalize that desire. This is the ancient meaning of ye shall decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you. You see, most of you are waiting for something external to give you permission to be what you desire to be. But I tell you with absolute certainty, the only permission you need is your own assumption. The only authority is just your own I am. Let me share with you a profound truth about your I am. Your I am is God Himself individualized in you. When you say I am, you are proclaiming the name of God. Therefore, whatever you attach to your I am, you are creating as reality. But here is where most of you falter. You say, I am, and then attach to it all your limitations, all your doubts, all your past failures. I am not good enough. I am not ready. I am not worthy. Do you not see that you are using the creative power of the universe to create what you do not want? Tonight, I urge you to make a fundamental shift in your consciousness. Instead of saying, I want, or I hope, or I will begin to assume I am. For in that assumption lies all the power of creation. You see, the difference between success and failure lies not in external circumstances, but in this simple shift of consciousness. The successful person is not one who has no doubts, but one who has learned to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled despite apparent contradictions. Let me tell you about the law of assumption. When you assume a state, the whole world must reshape itself to accommodate your assumption. This is not positive thinking. This is cosmic law. Most of you have been taught to look at the world and then form your conclusions. But I tell you this, reverse the process. Form your assumption first, and the world will reshape itself to match your assumption. Consider this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone assuming a state that contradicted external evidence. They dared to assume what others called impossible. You see, your outer world is nothing more than your inner world pushed out. Every doubt you entertain and every limitation you accept must externalize itself in your experience. This is law. Let me share with you the secret of eliminating doubt. You do not fight doubt, you simply assume a new state. When you occupy a new state in consciousness, the old state of doubt must die of neglect. You must understand this. Your consciousness is the only reality. Therefore, what you are conscious of being, you must become. This is why doubting yourself is such a grievous error. You are literally assuming a state of limitation. I want you to grasp this fundamental truth. The state of consciousness from which you operate is everything. When you doubt yourself, you are viewing life from a state of consciousness that must by law produce evidence of its own reality. You see, most of you are trying to change your lives while remaining in the same state of consciousness. This is like trying to produce apples while planting orange seeds. It is against law. Let me tell you about the true meaning of state. A state is not a fleeting thought or emotion. It is the consciousness from which you view the world. When you enter a state, you see only what that state dictates. You must see. Consider this profound truth. Your present circumstances are nothing more than your previous states of consciousness objectified. Therefore, to change your future, you must change your state. Now, most of you say, when my circumstances change, I will feel different. But I tell you this, you must feel different first, and then your circumstances will change to match your new feeling. You see, what you call reality is merely a shadow, a reflection of your state of consciousness. When you doubt yourself, you are actually doubting the infinite power that beats your heart and grows your fingernails. Let me share with you the secret of sustained transformation. You must learn to live from your desired state now, not tomorrow. Not when conditions improve, but now. This very moment. Most of you are waiting for something external to change before you change your concept of self. But I tell you this, nothing external can change until you change your concept of self. Consider carefully what I'm telling you. Your concept of self is your destiny. Whatever you believe yourself to be, you will become. This is not philosophy, this is law. You see, when you go after what you want while maintaining a consciousness of doubt, you are working against yourself. It's like driving with one foot on the accelerator and one on the brake. Let me tell you about the power of assumption. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are actually experiencing your desire in the only place it can first exist in consciousness. Most of you think your desires are out there somewhere waiting to be achieved. But I tell you this, your desires exist now in consciousness, waiting to be assumed into reality. You see, every desire you have is actually God's desire to express more of Himself through you. Therefore, when you doubt your ability to achieve your desire, you are doubting God Himself. Consider this. The oak tree exists in the acorn long before it becomes visible to human eyes. Similarly, your desired reality exists in consciousness before it becomes visible in your world. Let me share with you profound truth about consciousness that few understand. When you say I can't or it's too difficult, you are not describing reality. You are creating it. Your words are decrees that must manifest by law. You see, the universe knows no difference between what you call possible and impossible. It only knows what you decree through your conscious assumptions. When you assume I can't, you are using the same creative power as when you assume I can. Consider this. Every time you entertain a doubt, you are actually praying for what you do not want. For prayer is not begging an external God, but feeling and assuming the reality of what you desire. Most of you have too. Rand your creative power against yourselves. Through doubt and self-limitation, you say, I'm trying. but in consciousness, there is no trying. Let me tell you about the true nature of creation. Creation is finished. All possible states exist. Now your task is not to create what you want, but to select and occupy the state that contains your desire. You see, when you go after what you want with doubt in your heart, you are attempting to enter two states at once, the state of having and the state of lacking. This is impossible. Consider carefully what I'm saying. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot dwell in the state of doubt and the state of fulfillment simultaneously. You must choose. Most of you think you must first see evidence before you can believe, but I tell you this. What you see is the result of what you have been believing. To change what you see, you must change what you believe. Let me share with you the secret of effective action. All action must proceed from the right state of consciousness. Action without the correct state is futile. You see, when you take action from a state of doubt, you are actually reinforcing the very state you wish to leave. Your actions are merely expressing your current state of consciousness. Consider this. Everything in your world is yourself pushed out. Your doubt, your fear, your limitation, all are states you have occupied and are now seeing reflected back to you. Most of you are trying to change your world while maintaining the same conception of self. This is like trying to project a different image while using the same slide in the projector. Let me tell you about the law of consciousness. Whatever you are conscious of being, you will become. This is why entertaining doubts is such a serious matter. You are literally becoming your doubts. You see, your consciousness is God's gift to you. It is the creative power through which you shape your entire existence. When you doubt, you are misusing this divine gift. Consider this profound truth. In consciousness, there is of self. But I tell you this. Nothing external can change until you change your concept of self. Consider carefully what I'm telling you. Your concept of self is your destiny. Whatever you believe yourself to be, you will become. This is not philosophy. This is law. You see, when you go after what you want while maintaining a consciousness of doubt, you are working against yourself. It's like driving with one foot on the accelerator and one on the brake. Let me tell you about the power of assumption. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are actually experiencing your desire in the only place it can first exist in consciousness. Most of you think your desires are out there somewhere waiting to be achieved. But I tell you this, your desires exist now in consciousness, waiting to be assumed into reality. You see, every desire you have is actually God's desire to express more of Himself through you. Therefore, when you doubt your ability to achieve your desire, you are doubting God Himself. Consider this. The oak tree exists in the acorn long before it becomes visible to human eyes. Similarly, your desired reality exists in consciousness before it becomes visible in your world. Let me share with you profound truth about consciousness that few understand. When you say I can't or it's too difficult, you are not describing reality. You are creating it. Your words are decrees that must manifest by law. You see, the universe knows no difference between what you call possible and impossible. It only knows what you decree through your conscious assumptions. When you assume I can't, you are using the same creative power as when you assume I can. Consider this. Every time you entertain a doubt, you are actually praying for what you do not want. For prayer is not begging an external God, but feeling and assuming the reality of what you desire. Most of you have too. Rand your creative power against yourselves. Through doubt and self-limitation, you say, I'm trying. But in consciousness, there is no trying. Let me tell you about the true nature of creation. Creation is finished. All possible states exist. Now your task is not to create what you want, but to select and occupy the state that contains your desire. You see, when you go after what you want with doubt in your heart, you are attempting to enter two states at once, the state of having and the state of lacking. This is impossible. Consider carefully what I'm saying. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot dwell in the state of doubt and the state of fulfillment simultaneously. You must choose. Most of you think you must first see evidence before you can believe, but I tell you this. What you see is the result of what you have been believing. To change what you see, you must change what you believe. Let me share with you the secret of effective action. All action must proceed from the right state of consciousness. Action without the correct state is futile. You see, when you take action from a state of doubt, you are actually reinforcing the very state you wish to leave. Your actions are merely expressing your current state of consciousness. Consider this. Everything in your world is yourself pushed out. Your doubt, your fear, your limitation, all are states you have occupied and are now seeing reflected back to you. Most of you are trying to change your world while maintaining the same conception of self. This is like trying to project a different image while using the same slide in the projector. Let me tell you about the law of consciousness. Whatever you are conscious of being, you will become. This is why entertaining doubts is such a serious matter. You are literally becoming your doubts. You see, your consciousness is God's gift to you. It is the creative power through which you shape your entire existence. When you doubt, you are misusing this divine gift. Consider this profound truth. In consciousness, there springs from this choice. Consider this final truth. You are not a mere human being seeking a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. When you truly grasp this, all doubt must vanish. Tonight, I urge you to make this supreme decision. Decide what you want to be and assume that you are it now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. For now is the only time there is. Remember this. What the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. Whatever you desire, assume the feeling that would be yours if you already had it. You see, doubt is nothing but sleeping in the state of limitation. Wake up. Assume your desired state. Now feel its reality. Live from it. Breathe it for what you feel you create. Let this be your sacred moment of decision. Choose now to stop doubting yourself. Choose to assume the state of consciousness that implies your wish is fulfilled. Choose to live as though your prayers are already answered. For I tell you this with absolute certainty, the world has no choice but to mirror back to you what you decree in consciousness. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is law. Remember, you are the operant power in your world. No one else can assume your desired state for you. No one else can live in the end for you. This is your grand opportunity, your divine responsibility. Therefore, go forth now in this knowledge. Let every doubt fall away like autumn leaves. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Live from that assumption. For in this lies the secret of all creation. For when you cease doubting and start living from the end, when you persist in your assumption despite all evidence to the contrary, when you remain faithful to your chosen state, then and only then will you experience the truth that all things are possible to him who believes. This is the law, this is the promise, this is the way. And now, having shared these eternal truths with you, I leave you with this final thought. The life you dream of is not waiting for you in some distant future. It exists now in consciousness, waiting for you to sum it into expression. The choice is yours. The time is now. The power is within you. Thank you. God has a plan for you. There's something you need to hear tonight, and not just with your ears, but with your spirit. You were not born without purpose. You are not wandering this earth by accident. God has a plan for you. It might not feel like it, not when the doors keep closing, not when the people you trusted walk away. Not when the light at the end of the tunnel feels more like a trick of the imagination than a promise fulfilled. But I promise you, just because you can't see the whole path doesn't mean the path doesn't exist. Sometimes what feels like a setback is actually God setting the stage. What looks like rejection is really redirection. What seems like silence is divine strategy. You see, God is not moved by what you see with your natural eyes. He's moved by what He spoke over your life before you ever took your first breath. He's orchestrating things beyond your understanding, weaving moments, people, and even your pain into something greater than you could imagine. There will be days where you feel invisible, like your gifts don't matter, like your voice is too small to echo in a world that moves too fast. But listen to me, you are not invisible to God. You are not forgotten. You are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be. Even if it doesn't feel like it, you have to trust that the process is holy. The struggle is sacred. The waiting is not wasted. You're in the hands of a creator who doesn't make mistakes. Every scar you carry is a line in the story He's writing. Every delay is an act of love that will make sense in time. Every no you've ever heard is making room for a better yes. So don't rush the becoming. Stay faithful, stay rooted, stay available. Because the moment you think nothing's happening, that's often when God is working the hardest behind the curtain. And when the time is right, you won't have to chase anything. The calling will call you. The doors will open because God touched the handle. The people you were meant to impact will hear your voice like a trumpet in the wilderness. You don't need to force what is already ordained. You just need to believe again. Believe in the promise. Believe in your anointing. Believe that your life is part of something eternal, something divine, something unshakable. This isn't about fame. It's not about applause. It's not about platforms or positions. It's about purpose. It's about obedience. It's about walking like your steps are ordered because they are. You are a light in a world that desperately needs healing. You carry something sacred. Don't dim it to fit in. Don't bury it to be safe. You were born to rise, to fight the good fight, to carry your cross and walk with fire in your bones. So stand tall even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because your story, yes, your story is part of God's greater plan, and the world needs what's in you. Not later. Now, let that truth settle in your spirit. Let it silence the lies. Let it awaken the part of you that's been sleeping under fear, under doubt, under delay. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are chosen. God has a plan for you, and when it unfolds, you'll see that every tear had a purpose, every loss carried a lesson, and every step was guided by a hand that never let you go. There's something sacred about knowing you were born with purpose, not just a general idea or a vague hope, but a specific divine intentional design over your life. And sometimes the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against people, systems, or even circumstances. It's ego. It's the lie that tells you your life doesn't matter, against that quiet whisper that says you are replaceable, unseen, unneeded. But the truth, you carry something inside you that no one else on this earth ever could, a fingerprint of the divine, a voice meant to echo in places where silence has settled, a presence that shifts the atmosphere when you walk into a room, even if you don't notice it yet. The world will try to convince you that purpose looks like recognition, like standing on stages or being praised in public. That purpose is often quiet. It's in how you love people. It's in how you show up when no one else will. It's in the way you carry truth when everyone else bows to comfort. Purpose isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it looks like pressing on when everything in you wants to quit. Sometimes it's staying faithful to a dream that hasn't manifested yet. Sometimes it's believing in the promise, even while you're walking through the wilderness. You are not an accident, not the product of chance or the result of randomness. Before you ever had a name, you had a calling. Before you ever cried your first tear, heaven had already whispered your assignment. That's how intentional your existence is. The world might not always validate you. People might overlook you. But God never misplaces what He creates with love. You were carved out of vision, molded with power, released into this world for such a time as this. There are lives attached to your obedience. There are doors waiting for your footsteps. There are answers waiting for your yes. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need to have it all figured out to be in purpose. Sometimes purpose unfolds one small step at a time. Like a seed that becomes a tree, like a note that becomes a song, like a moment that becomes a legacy. You don't have to force your purpose to be real. You just have to agree with it. Walk in it. Speak from it. Breathe like it lives in you, because it does. There's a reason the enemy fights your mind so hard. There's a reason you face storms. Delay is not denial. Delay is training ground. And often the deeper your calling, the longer the preparation. God doesn't build skyscrapers overnight. He digs deep foundations for what He plans to raise high. That means your silent seasons are not wasted. Your wilderness is not random. Your private battles are not meaningless. They are chapters in the story of becoming. They are evidence that something powerful is forming in you. Don't curse the setback. Don't despise the pause, because in those very moments, God is doing some of His greatest work. He's stripping away what you thought you needed. He's realigning your heart. He's positioning you for something greater than you even prayed for. And when the time is right, when your character matches your calling, when your heart is fully surrendered, when your vision is purified, you'll look back and realize that everything that felt like a loss was actually a win in disguise. You'll see how the betrayal gave you clarity, how the closed door saved your soul, how the lonely nights built your faith, how the tears watered the ground for something new. You'll realize that destiny was never on hold. It was simply being shaped in silence. There's a weight to true purpose, a cost, and part of that cost is learning how to hold on when nothing makes sense. Learning how to trust when your hands are empty, but your heart is full of promise. Learning how to stand when everything in you wants to lie down and quit, because the promise is still true. Even when the process is painful, what feels like a setback is often God re-earthing you to something more powerful than you asked for. What looks like a detour is really a divine redirection. You're not late, you're not behind, you're not forgotten. You are in training, you are in transformation, you are on holy ground, even if it looks like a battlefield. So don't let the setbacks convince you how to give up on the vision. Don't let the pain silence your voice. Don't let the delay convince you that destiny skipped your name. Because the very things that tried to break you will one day become the testimony that builds others. You're not just surviving this for yourself, you're surviving for the people who will come after you, for the ones who will look at your life and find hope. You are paving a road that others will walk, and they need you to rise. They need you to keep going. They need you to believe again. So let the setbacks come, let the obstacles rise, Because when God is the author of your story, even your lowest chapters are filled with purpose. And when the fullness of time comes, destiny will arrive, not in spite of your pain, but because of it. You are born with purpose, and even in the setback, God is still setting you up to fulfill it. It's easy to love the promise, easy to get excited about the destination, about the blessing, the breakthrough, the moment when everything finally comes together and makes sense. But what's not easy to love is the process, the in-between, the moments when your heart is full of vision, but your hands are still empty. When God speaks a word over your life, but nothing around you looks like that word could possibly come true. And in those moments, it's tempting to see the process as punishment, to believe that because it hurts, because it's hard, because it's lonely, then somehow you've done something wrong. But the truth is deeper than your discomfort. The process isn't punishment. The process is preparation. The process is sacred. It's where God molds you, shapes you, strips you of what can't go with you into the next level. It's where He teaches your spirit to trust Him when your eyes see nothing and your ears hear silence. It's where He breaks off ego, pride, fear, and insecurity. So what's left is pure, holy, sent, wrong enough to carry the weight of your calling. You see, everyone wants the glory. Few want the grind. Everyone wants the crown, but not everyone wants the cross that comes before it. And yet without the cross, without the crushing, without the discipline, without the midnight wrestling, there can be no resurrection. There can be no elevation. There can be no authority that wasn't first forged in adversity. It's in the fire that gold is refined. It's in the wilderness that identity is revealed. And it's in the waiting room that character is formed. So don't despise the process. Don't resist it. Don't wish it away, because what God is doing in you during the waiting is just as important, if not more, than what He's going to do through you later. You can't skip the process and expect to stand in purpose, because without the process you'll lack the depth. You'll lack the humility. You'll lack the discernment to handle what God wants to give you. There's a version of you that exists after the breaking, after the struggle, after the lessons you didn't ask for but desperately needed. And that version is the one who's ready. We live in a world that's addicted to speed, but God is committed to depth. And depth takes time. It takes pruning. It takes silence. It takes repeated tests of your heart, your motives, your surrender. Not to hurt you, but to heal you. Not to break you, but to build you. Because God doesn't want to just bless you. He wants to make sure the blessing doesn't destroy you once it arrives. There are things you're praying for that your character isn't ready to hold yet. There are rooms you're asking to enter that require a version of you that hasn't been fully formed. And God loves you too much to give you something that would crush you before you're ready to carry it. So, He lets the process do its work. He allows the tension, the disappointment, the stretching, because He sees beyond what you see. He knows what you'll face 5 years from now. He knows the weight that's coming with the glory. He knows that if He doesn't strengthen your shoulders now, you'll collapse under the blessing later. It doesn't feel good. It won't always make sense. But faith is born in that very space where obedience lives, even when the outcome is uncertain. Where worship rises even when the walls haven't fallen, where surrender becomes more than a song. It becomes your posture, your breath, your identity. Some of the most powerful people in the kingdom are the ones who were hidden the longest, who had to learn to love God without applause, who had to show up day after day when no one was watching, who had to preach to their own reflection and believe their calling when no platform validated it. Because they understood the process wasn't punishment, it was intimacy. It was transformation. It was divine setup. And one day when the page turns, when the light shifts and the doors begin to open, you'll realize it wasn't the spotlight that made you powerful. It was the dark room where God developed you. It was the secret place, the long nights, the tears no one saw. That's where you became who you really are. That's where the oil was pressed out of you. That's where the fire made your faith unshakable. So take heart. If you're in the process, you're in the presence. If you're being stretched, you're being sanctified. If you're walking through the valley, you're being prepared for the mountain. Nothing is being wasted. Not the silence, not the struggle, not the slow days. It all matters. It's all being used. And while you're walking through the process, never forget, just because you can't see God working doesn't mean He's not. That leads to another truth that must anchor your soul. God works behind the curtain. We live in a world obsessed with evidence, with proof, with things we can touch and measure and post online. But the kingdom doesn't move like that. God often does His best work in silence, in sekestags. Ret, behind the scenes where no one's looking. While you're sleeping, while you're crying, while you're questioning whether He even heard your last prayer. And so, as these truths settle within your heart, remember this: life will always mirror the state of your consciousness. If you choose fear, life will present obstacles. If you choose doubt, The world will echo with limitations, but the moment you choose faith, assumption, and inner certainty, the universe reshapes itself to honor your decision. Carl Jung's message is not about waiting for a miracle. It is about becoming the miracle yourself. Do not postpone your greatness. Do not wait for the perfect time. The time is now, and the power is already within you. Every step you take from this moment can either be guided by hesitation or empowered by conviction. Choose conviction. Choose the state of fulfillment. For when you live as though your desires are already real, they must by law become your reality. Remember, you are not a seeker of light. You are the light itself. Carry this truth, live from it, and let your life become the testimony that all things are possible to the one who believes.